Yeah.
All right, cheers, everyone. It is Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor, and this is Virtual Tea Time with Amy. And today, my special guest is the wonderful Kiwana Thomas, and she's also a returning guest. Welcome,
Hey.
Kiwana. Thanks for being on.
Oh, I'm so excited, Amy. I would never miss the moment of tea time. I mean,
I know we had so
always.
much fun with the last.
Yes, yes.
So,
I'm so
so many people loved hearing about your gaming, by the way. I've
oh,
gotten a lot of good
thank
feedback.
you. The thing about it is it's great when we can find things that just spark our interests because we have such a I think I won't even say you have such a awesome way of just reading people, getting people to open up,
Oh, thank
talk
you.
about themselves, and amidst of the coronavirus, amidst of everything that's going on, you present a light and it's needed. So I thank
Well,
you.
well, that's so sweet. Thank you. I clearly enjoy doing it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Um,
Um, so, real quick before we get started, we'll do in proper virtual tea fashion. Uh, what are you drinking and where are you calling from?
okay, well, I am calling from Rockledge, Florida, and I am drinking my peach tea. It's
Nice.
peach
Peach
passion tea.
passion? Ooh, yum.
And it smells divine and it tastes so heavenly when you put like the milk inside there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the creamy peach experience.
Is it
Um,
a black tea blend? Is it like peach and black tea? Or is
yes,
it?
it is
Yeah.
peach and black tea blend.
Okay.
Do
Very
they have
cool.
the peach white tea?
I
Ooh,
think there is probably a peach white tea, but I didn't know if it was some kind of like herbal thing where it's just like dried peaches. So that's
gotcha.
why I was curious.
Well, after listening to all of your tea times, I understand now like what the differences are in the tea. So you're educating me and myself about the tea.
Well, I appreciate it. And I always like that you ask me, off camera, behind the scenes for people, is that you ask me things. You're like, hey, I don't know this. You should tell us, like, tell me and everyone on Facebook the answer to this.
Yes, because I know they have these burning questions. Hey, Jill, how are you doing? But I know they have these burning questions, especially avid tea drinkers. Like, I'm an Anglophile at
Yeah,
heart.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for handling the comments because I know you've mastered this with your own Facebook Lives. I haven't. I was telling Dan yesterday on my tea time that I was like, it's too distracting. Like, I haven't been able to figure out how to like stay in the in the conversation and have that going
I
with
promise
someone else. Yeah.
it is a little challenging. Last night we did our live and the volumes was off, and then I
Mm,
couldn't read the comments as much as I tried. And so I'm just glad to be able to do it. I know we have a hot topic for today, and
yes.
just to make sure if anyone's saying anything that we need to kind of address and
That's very smart. Yeah, probably today is the day to have the comments going live. So
yeah.
thank you for handling that.
Ah, no problem.
Um, so I'm calling from, if anyone caught the video yesterday, I'm calling from the same place. I'm in Orlando, not Altamonte Springs. I'm at one of my side gigs, this exciting office. Dan was making fun of a different white room. He goes, notice there's no queen memorabilia around. I go, yeah, there's
Hi.
like a picture of a succulent, I think. A random frame photo.
Oh, I cannot wait to go back and catch that segment. Dan's the man, and I'm like,
Oh,
he
and we
helps
talked
me.
about you.
Oh, see, he helps
We
me
did.
fold my clothes. He brings in some good conversation and some laughs. You gotta love it. You
Yeah,
got
yeah, he's great. So, and again, I'm doing the same. I'm being a bad tea lady today because it's after 5 and it's Friday. There's wine in
Mhm.
my teacup, which makes, which has always been one of the things I've said is you don't have to have tea in your teacups. You can still have
No,
fancy teacups. You can put whatever you want in there, and you can
absolutely.
tell people it's tea.
They don't have to know. Uh-huh. And whatever gets us through is what gets us through. Yes.
That's right. Yeah,
Mhm.
mine looks like it could be like a peach tea. It's a rosé.
Get the rosé.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I like the
Yes.
sweet fruity wines as well. I'm a sweet
Yes.
girl.
Yeah, they're good. I like them a little dry, but but I definitely am a white rosé person, not a red
Oh.
wine.
What about the
Too.
sparkling rosés? Like, have
Yeah,
you ever
I
tried
do.
them?
I do sparkling. Yeah. Anything with bubbles. Like, it's not like I afford real champagne, but anything with bubbles. I drink.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh,
I shouldn't say that yet. You're my finance lady. We're going to put that in my, or sorry, I know that's not your official name. That's what I call
it works. It works, you
Yes.
know.
So you are a, what did we decide? Financial
Strategist, personal
strategist.
finance strategist.
There we
Yeah.
go. Personal financial strategist. So yeah. So why don't really quick plug yourself? Tell everyone what you do, and yeah. And if you want, you can talk about what you just launched, since I know it was a big deal.
Oh, yes, it
Yeah.
is. So I am your personal finance strategist. I have my own company called Set for Increase, where I make sure you have money at the end of every month by eliminating your paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. I mean, man, it feels great being able to have fruit for your labor and not feel guilty about buying it. I mean, come
Mm-hmm.
on.
And
So
it's
that's
yeah.
what I do. And then today I'm so excited. I launched the Set for Increase Stewardship Academy. I mean, it is phenomenal where we're working on mindsets and frameworks where I'm teaching everyone what I do personally, and then bringing them like the wholehearted of the mastermind and changing, how you're thinking. And it's awesome because you know what? Coming out of it today, I was like, I wish somebody did this for me. Because you
Oh
have these
yeah.
big ideas like Dan did for you when you were
Yeah.
launching Houses of Windsor,
Mm-hmm.
and you need the cheerleader. So we have
Yes.
someone who is helping people develop their mindsets. And then we have me telling you, okay, here's the money to do so.
Right.
So it's just like hand in hand, amazing. It's
and
amazing.
and I can speak to the personal coaching that you are amazing, and I've been working with you since what, January about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
January. Yeah.
And yeah, from the first moment I heard you speak at Sherry's workshop, I was like, oh my god, what is this? I needed this like a year ago. I didn't like to
I
know it
know.
existed. I was like, everybody needs to know.
Right. I mean, because and that's why when I was sitting with this, when I was sitting today in the academy, I'm like, man, had I really had someone showing me how to handle my finances and then to support me in my ideas that,
Right.
God gives me, how to push forward, well, I am unstoppable, toot my own horn.
Yes, that's right. You should.
But maybe it would have happened a little bit sooner. But yeah.
Yeah.
So thank
But
you.
yeah, but I agree. And I have to say, my little testimonial for you, impromptu testimonial, is that for people who are watching and thinking like, yeah, like everybody says the same thing for budgets, right? It's like everybody always says, well, stop eating out and stop doing this and stop doing that. And like it's like everybody thinks you have like just, everyone should be following the exact same plan. And then that's how and that'll work and you'll be happy and you can, and it'll be feasible for you to follow.
Mhm.
Whereas Kiwana, as you said, listens to actually what your wants and your desires and like what your goals are, and then helps you work to figure out how is that going to happen. And part of it is paying attention to all the little dollars that are sneaking out of our bank accounts from free trials turned subscriptions and
Oh, geez.
a bunch of other just like little charges that you lose track of. And that being said, that like if you're a person that like you're gonna be eating out no matter what, you know how to work with that. You're not gonna say
Yeah.
change who you are.
No.
So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. I try to embrace our financial selves and love on us. We don't have to cook every day just to be,
Right.
just to save money.
Right.
Just so thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah. So everyone, yeah, we'll put the link in here later.
Yeah,
go find Kiwana.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So okay, I suppose I can let us get to our
Our
topic
topic
today.
of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching live or in the future, as I say, into infinity, because we'll put it
Mhm.
up on YouTube.
On the
Um,
replay.
that's right, on the replay. So I I'm going to let Kawana kind of lead this one,
Right.
and I will just put out a disclaimer for myself that I am not afraid to look stupid, but I don't I absolutely don't want to be offensive, basically. Like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't think I really will because I don't, but I don't want to accidentally say something that's like stupidly hurtful. How about that? Like,
Absolutely.
I'm not afraid to not know something, but I don't want to make any, yeah, dumb remarks, I suppose. So
Well,
I'm just saying, like, bear with me, like, bear with us through this.
yeah, and I mean, I want to start out by saying this too. I think it's great when we can open the floor to have dialogue. As you know, I've said in the past, on your show and then on mine, where tea time is
Mm-hmm.
where I use to discuss difficult
Oh, you're
topics
right.
in my house. And I believe that when we learn how to communicate, it makes us better as a culture, it makes us better in society. So I thank you for using your platform
Mm-hmm.
to talk about hard topics.
Right.
And, I like to preface it by saying, Amy, you are such a light, a bubbly person. You're full of energy and smiles.
Mm-hmm.
So, be who you are. I fully embrace you. Um, and me, I'm a person who I understand that the seriousness of what we have going on. However, I take a spiritual stance of it or for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't speak for every Black American in this society, but I do speak for me.
Right.
And I utilize my platform to do such. So this is, what we're talking about today is the topic of George Floyd and how to have the conversation with people who either may get it, may not get it. How do I ease into the conversation? What do I say? Um, and I think it's best sometimes to just let your guard, down a little bit. If we can judge the elephant in the room by saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what stance are we looking at this from? What
Right.
angle are we looking at this from? And then knowing that it's okay to disagree and still walk away, either as friends or as, as it's still okay. We can
Right.
come together, communicate. Okay, well, I guess we disagree to disagree. But life goes on and tea is still drink at the end of
Right.
the
Right.
day.
Right.
Because as we all know, this is not going to be saved, or the world is not going to be solved with one conversation. It's just a series
Right. Right.
of conversations.
Just
And
getting
so,
started.
right. And that's why I appreciate you offering your platform to have this
Right.
conversation on, because I believe that this conversation will not be in vain and it will help open the eyes of people out there who, you know, may need some advice or some different
Right.
way to see things.
Right. Yeah. Just hearing maybe a different point of view, and I appreciate you bringing it. Uh, I guess tying it in with tea time in the sense that I totally forgot. Of course, like I love the way that you use tea time with your daughters, and that when things are tense or whatever, there's some kind of issue at hand, it's time to sit down, calmly sit down,
Right.
have some tea, inhale, exhale, and then talk rationally. So,
Exactly. And let people know how you feel. I believe that it's healthy, and I don't think a
mm-hmm.
lot of us do it. And that's why I'm so excited about bringing this segment in. Hey, Sherry. By
Oh,
bringing
which
this segment
Sherry do
in.
we have?
Oh,
Coach
Sherry
Sherry?
Summers, our
Okay.
wonderful
Hi,
revenue
Coach
attraction
Sherry.
coach, master life coach, master life coach.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, but I believe that it's important for us to be able to see each other's views. And, I mean, so I will start with, have you had a chance? And I know for me, typically, when I see acts of injustice or when I'm presented with that on the news, first of all, I don't watch a lot of news
Mm-hmm.
anyway because it's a lot of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to control my space. I like to control my atmosphere as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not oblivious to it. I
Right.
just feel that I'm better served with helping push people into their calling by letting them know you don't have to be frozen in your finances because
Right.
I need you out there. The world needs you
Mm-hmm.
out there. But I did watch the video with George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it from start to finish, and then there was one with the different angles.
Okay.
Uh, and my heart broke. in that moment. I believe that I believe that this is why I have to, like, there's no if about what I do. There's no question about why I should do it anymore, because I know that people aren't in position because sometimes they are stuck in their finances. They won't step out and do their passion
Mhm.
because they feel like I gotta commit or stay on a job. So I can't do what I love.
Mhm.
So in my response to that video is, Kiwana, you gotta keep going. No matter how hard it gets, you have to reach the masses to
Mhm.
let them know, hey, we need your gift. Number one, if you've been called to write a book, that's the difference between someone pulling out even guns at school, or that's the difference between someone doing something reckless
Mhm.
and you standing in the gap because of you being obedient to your calling.
Right.
So it pushes and motivates me to go hard, to reach more, to go live more. um, but seeing that video was very unnerving. It just made me feel like, where's the humanity? Because
Right.
that's what we all want to believe at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that there are people out there who hear us and that hear our
Right.
cries,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's what wasn't, I think, taken into consideration, was the humanity of it all.
Right.
Did you have a chance, Amy, to watch the video, or?
Yeah, so I've not watched it from start to finish. As I mentioned, so we talked about this a little, or we talked about this for a bit in our 2K class with Coach Sherry yesterday. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
And that's kind of how this, virtual tea time idea came together. And I, at that point, hadn't watched anything. I was loosely aware of this, or I should say, like, I was in, overall, I knew what the story was, but I had not watched anything. And because I am someone who, similar to you, I pretty much avoid the news as much as I can. And a lot of it is because the negativity and the repetition of the negativity. So
Yeah.
it's like it's nonstop, and it's the same bad stuff over and over again. And you know, my mental health, my personal mental health is much better if I don't know every little bad thing that's happened. But when it's something that is a big bad thing, that makes its way to me. So I don't have to know every little bit. And or it may not even be something that's that bad, but the news is trying to scare us or whatever. Like,
Right.
they just make it negative. So I only saw part of the video last night, and yeah, I mean, it was as horrible as what I had, I guess, expected based on what I had heard, what had happened. Um, and I mean, my personal, I guess, feelings is it's like sickening, and for me, it just gets to be like sort of like this feeling of like, really again, like that's kind of my first thought. It's just like, I was about to curse. I probably should.
Yeah, don't.
So yeah, I'm basically WTF. Like,
Right, right,
yeah,
right. Um, I definitely understand again, because we all want to believe in hope. We
right,
all want to have that hope. And yet we're faced to see the constant reality of what the few opinions of people, and I'm going to say few, I know a lot of people may have been in conversations with people who don't see it from their point of view, but it's my hope and belief that there are more people out here that want change, and that there are
mm-hmm.
more people out here, both Black, both white, both Indian, whatever your race may
Yeah,
be. We all want change, and we all want to progress, further as a nation, to see this racism eradicated.
right,
So um, I will not allow the injustice that is in this world, I won't allow it to change my view that there always will be hope. At the end of the day, there are more good people than bad out here. I know I was just describing to you, they're having a protest in my local area. Um, it's put on by the city of Cocoa, and they're taking the streets and marching, in a silent protest from um, maybe about a 5 mile walk.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm a little lost on mileage. Y'all forgive me if I have to giggle, and forgive Amy
Yeah, I
too.
know. I was like, I'm like,
It's just kind of sometimes comes
I have
out,
no idea. I know. Yeah,
but it's like a
we're gigglers.
right, a 2 or 3 mile walk. And then I had someone on the next door app. My husband was like, "Oh," and they said locked and loaded. And so at that point in time, it's like, okay, that's how you feel. I understand that that may be your thoughts. At the end of the day, I still think that as long as it's done peacefully,
Mm-hmm.
that protests are effective, and hopefully, the locked and loaded comment that was received on next door, hopefully they just stay home,
Right.
or it doesn't come to that, and
Right.
that's why we put prayer first in all things and everything that we do, because you want to make sure when you're organizing that
Mm-hmm.
everything's structured and stuff like that. But do you notice anything that they're doing on your neck of the woods?
Well, I was going to comment on what you're saying, and that I admire the way that you look at things and that you can see that post and have that kind of reaction to it, because for me, it just makes me angry. Like, like those people are just missing the point. Like, the point of humanity, that they see it as like, it's, against them or whatever. And it's very frustrating. And, it also mixes in, if you have beliefs about, gun rights and things like that, it like throws in, I feel like there's a whole lot within that statement that, depending on where you stand on things, and people may be able to guess with me, but like that, I have a really hard time, and I try really hard to be understanding and not write people off too fast. I feel like I do have a better job than a lot of people at times, but I guess that's kind of like my blind spot, or my whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, is like that kind of, I guess, aggressive, like,
Behavior.
yeah, aggressive behavior, aggressive combative behavior, and almost like threatening. I just don't, I can't, it's really hard for me.
I
So
got,
that's my thought on that.
because I'm thinking, to me, I try to, as hard as it is, because I know the attack I feel is on African Americans, my
Right.
brother, my sister.
Right.
Um, at the same time, I'm not the person that doesn't try to at least put myself in that person's shoes. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say all they knew when they were growing up was other thoughts about how people felt about people of color.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, all every time they sat down at the dinner table, that's all they hear is,
Right.
someone else's response to how they feel about Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After a while, that gets seeded in. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's seeds that are sown early in life, and this is the fruit that we have
Right.
um, from those seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to try to change, is the
Right.
narrative of, when you come into contact with anyone, consider the humanness of them. If you've met any,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the comments that I despise hearing is, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have Black friends." That's something that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people say, and then in the same breath, I think, okay, well, can you take some of the friendships that you have and that you love? Because if you didn't love it, you wouldn't have made the comment.
Right. Mm-hmm.
um, can you take that and sit in that seat and then apply that same love to the person over here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's something too that, but I do try to, I first of all, I do try to take a moment and just put myself in their seat and say, you know what? First of all, it's bigger than me. Second
Mm-hmm.
of all, this could be something that they've only heard.
Right.
Yes,
That's true.
at some point in time, we do need to grow up. At some point in
Mm-hmm.
time, you do take responsibilities for their actions. And
Right.
I am not condoning any type
Mm-hmm.
of I'm not condoning any type of racism or violence or actions because I believe it's all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in time, it's like grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have that grow up spirit in college, right? Because that's
Right.
our first kind of glimpse of the world around us. We're
Mm-hmm.
not always at home under the shelteredness of the environment that we were all brought up in.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And having that glimpse or having that moment, it's like, oh, okay, there are people out here that are not like me. And you know what? They're okay. And you
Right.
may come into that arena with your stigmas and with your biases. But I know it's the hope of college institutions that things are changed. You learn to work with people you hate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do certain assignments with them.
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to get around it, and we can't forget that.
Right.
And in those moments, I know we have had instances where we've seen beautiful friendships made, beautiful courtships. And do
Right.
we get it wrong sometimes? Every race gets it wrong.
Right.
There's craziness in every race,
Right. Right.
but yet that we don't have to take those experiences and adapt it,
Mm-hmm.
to how we are and let it change and mold us. We should always be the change we truly want to see in this world
Right.
today.
Well, and I think when you were talking about it being a mindset and kind of like basically if say a person growing up, as you said at the dinner table, this is literally all they hear. This is all that's being poured into them, right? So, in our class with Sherry, we talk a lot about mindset. I've
Yeah.
been to Tony Robbins with Sherry. I mean, that was all mindset. And that mindset, well, people went for different reasons, but like, I've learned through working with Sherry and like Tony, and then obviously you, since your finances, is that I had a lot of uh, limiting beliefs around money. A lot of things that I didn't consciously like put into my brain or even notice that they were there, but they were informing my behavior and my actions.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So until you start really reflecting and getting into the personal development and the self, basically guiding yourself or finding people to help guide you towards like self-awareness. I mean, it is like retraining your brain. So
Absolutely.
if it happens with money, I mean, as you obviously it can happen if you've got racist family around you all the time or friends or whatever informing you. And even if you initially think you're not really agreeing with them, that's so, but you're right. But so then you have to grow up
Yeah,
and
at some
and
point,
start informing yourself, like reprogramming your brain.
exactly. And isn't it, and I don't want to say funny, but isn't it
Mm-hmm.
interesting? I guess
Okay.
that's a better word. Isn't it interesting that we find that not only, like you said, with either racism or with definitely with finances,
Yeah.
with even the negative thinking. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you actually get out here in this world, you begin to ask the question, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And who do I want to be? And what decisions or who do I want to be? And what change do I want to make?
Right.
And that's where I think it all began. It
Mm-hmm.
begins because you may be that person who wants to do well, wants to do good, or have good intentions, but you don't know how to go about if starting the change, becoming
Right.
the change. And I think, like had Sherry say in the 2K, she was saying, we're no longer just don't no longer be silent. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the biggest movement right now that's going on is we will no longer be silent
Right.
on both sides of the
Mm-hmm.
community. I mean, I've seen pastors step up and talk about it now. I've seen after the Colin Kaepernick knee kneel. I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
now other people are joining
Right.
that movement and are no longer being silent about it. And I can appreciate the fact that people are bringing this to their platform. If I may say, our white brothers and sisters are coming up. And I've always seen, let me just
Mm-hmm.
preface this, I have never had a time where I haven't had the people who are around me not want to stand up and take a stand.
Mm-hmm.
So I always, and that's what makes me look at it from both angles.
Okay.
Now, would I feel different if I never saw any white people say, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, we're going to stand up and take a stand? Maybe so. But I've always seen that in
Mm-hmm.
my circle.
Right.
And so to see more people understand, hey, I didn't think that this was racism, or
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take this time as racism. Now, I think we all kind of heard the cry when George Floyd was on the floor. He's like, he wasn't combative with the cop. I know I've heard,
Right.
even though that shouldn't matter, I've heard that come back
Yeah.
saying you have to act this way. And, if you don't do XYZ, this is what can happen. Well, that shouldn't happen either.
Mm-mm.
But, we all saw the fact that there was no type of conflict, if you will.
Right.
So for people
Right.
who didn't need to see that, um, he was very responsive. What's the word? He didn't resist authority
Oh,
or
right.
anything like that. And yet this still happened.
Yes. Right.
And it's like, I think at that point in time, this is what's raising a lot of people up to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, we need to start having conversations. We need to do better. We need
Mm-hmm.
to step forward and actually speak on this topic.
Right.
And, it's going to create a bigger change. It's going to create, a bigger movement, but change must always start first in the hearts
Mm-hmm.
of people.
Right.
And so that's, kind of what I see. But is there anything going on in Orlando by you?
There are things going on. I not like right next to me. I know when I talked to Dan yesterday on Tea Time, he lives downtown, so he was
Oh,
saying
okay.
that they were basically like riots slash protests, like right outside, you know, his building. So I mean, he's on lockdown anyway because of COVID. But it was kind of like
Yeah.
he was kind of like, if you hear anything in the background, it might be protesters, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I got
So I don't know. I have some friends that are like couriers, like the not like food delivery, but delivering, I don't know, documents and like medical things and stuff like that. They drive. One drives, the other one rides their bike, and I know they've seen a lot of, I guess, police activity and just kind of like things being blocked off in advance and feeling like downtown is on lockdown is what I
you.
gathered from people. Yeah, so downtown Orlando feels, I guess, tense and on lockdown. So I don't know how much the actual protests are like. I don't know the size or anything like that because, as I said, I avoid the news, so I don't always know particulars.
I gotcha. And that's why we do things like this.
Right.
That's why we push forward in our quote unquote types of protests on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, we would all like to see, and I have seen some great peaceful protests,
Right.
but then you have people who, feel like they want to show anger in different ways to capture attention. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's when it can become a life or death scenario. And then,
Right.
you have to use your best judgment in that way, shape, or form. So that's why I appreciate this,
Right.
the platform for this. And then we always have to realize that people are hurting. I read a story last night that shook me because a
Mm-hmm.
person that I grew up with, went to elementary school with,
Mm-hmm.
her brother was a victim of injustice,
Oh, really?
and the only reason why I'm using the word allegedly is because,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I'm not sure how it all came down. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
preface that by saying, allegedly was murdered by the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And I, my heart broke in that instance again, because I'm like, how many more people have to pass before
Right.
something is done. Now, with that, Amy,
Mm-hmm.
it's my belief um, that if more people would do or act on the gift and talent that God put on the inside of them and
Mm-hmm.
get into their position, I truly believe a lot of this will cease or calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that would ever happen, I'm just on my side pushing people
Right.
into their gift,
Right.
into their talent, because I think that if, let's say, a police officer, you were supposed to write a book, Amy, let's just say
Right.
that, and
Okay.
it's on your lifestyle. It's about your
Right.
life and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may be a police officer one day, and you may notice a book just sitting on a desk of some
Mm-hmm.
sort. And you may, oh, this looks like an interesting read.
Right. Right.
And you read it, and it may change your entire makeup
Mm-hmm.
of how you think, or it may push or probe you to ask more questions, to do some of those heartfelt, deep intercession, deep,
Right.
thinking on who you are, what do you want to be, what change do you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But that person would have never had that come to moment, or that
Right.
aha, if you will, or why do I
Right.
think that, had you not stepped out and wrote the book.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I
I
believe
see
that
what you mean. Mm-hmm.
we all are connected, and we're connected for a purpose.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we need to be able to operate or find that thing that's on the inside of us that serves us well, that we're supposed to utilize to serve others, and push that forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, that is what stops, in my opinion, the hand of the enemy, or the hand of strife, or things
Right.
like that.
Right.
Where people can turn themselves and have that healthy conversation.
Mm-hmm.
All because you wrote that book, or all because you
Right.
started business, or this tea time. We're
Right.
able to have conversations on tea
That's
time,
true. Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
true.
release it and get it out and be like, whew, now I
Right.
can talk to the person at Burger King and actually be calmer, right? Because we're all human, and we all get fed up.
Yes.
We all have these emotions.
Right.
But when we have a healthy release,
Mm-hmm.
a healthy way to process, a healthy way to have a conversation,
Right.
the next person is better for it that we come
Right.
in contact with.
Right. Right. I yeah, I agree, and this is, probably a lot just stemmed from my own, past couple years, and just my own personal beliefs on therapy and all of that stuff. But it's just my personal belief is basically basically if we could continue to destigmatize uh, mental health in the sense of like going and seeking therapy. If you feel angry deep within, like all the time, I feel like, if what if you just feel like the world's against you, like I don't want to like call, I mean, whatever. I'm basically thinking of, you know, some, we'll just say like, certain small white towns or whatever. And like, people feel trapped or stuck in, you see an arm in the background.
Mhm.
Thanks, Austin. Anyway, sorry about that. There's the giggle break. But just thinking that, like, okay, so I don't, if you're in a small group of people and it's the same group of people you've been with since like the day you were born, and you never stepped out from anything that you ever knew, and one, like, they're all informing who you are, who you should be, but also you might be angry that you never got to go, as you say, like, go and live, like, figure out what your gift is, and like, so I just feel like part of it is like, I understand that as of now, it's not that everyone can necessarily afford to get treatment or go to a
Right,
therapist.
right, therapy, right.
And it could be that like the same group of people have some huge stigma around that. So it's like there's that too. Like you feel like you can't go get help. But I guess my main point is, I guess overall, is that literally we are not in this alone. So whether you go find professional help or not, just remember, like, you're not just an individual stuck with your own angst, anxiety. You don't have to solve it on your own. Like, even if it takes reaching out to a trusted friend or something. I feel like that also helps step you in the direction of finding out who you really are and getting to be
Absolutely.
yourself. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
basically my point.
I agree because I think that you know, I think about it like you could have a bad relationship, a bad yeah, like a bad relationship.
Yeah,
And the first person you're gonna call is your girlfriend. And you'll be
yeah,
like, this, that, and the other, you get that whole the healthy release. And I can't believe it. And
that's
then
true.
afterwards, you feel so much better. So you're right. It's not always about affording therapy, just
Mm-hmm.
having the conversation.
Right.
Um, but I know that I'm not sure, and I can't speak to if
Mm-hmm.
police officers actually have vent sessions. Because
Right.
I respect authority in
Right.
the police realm because I can't imagine what they face every day. I
Yeah.
can't, I can't say what every situation
Mm-hmm.
will be like.
Right.
And so that prior situation may put you in fear for your life on the
Right.
next situation. And, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. It informs the next. It just builds
right.
up. Yeah.
So, maybe that's something that they can work on as a venting session
Right.
because we all get wound. But and that's why I say in the case of George Floyd, what I can appreciate is I don't know him personally. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the life he lived, but I would say by his death,
Mm-hmm.
conversations are opening,
Right.
eyes are being opened,
Mm-hmm.
change is going to be happening. And by his death, maybe people will start to seek out more therapy options.
Right.
Maybe it will bring the convert. I know because I've seen a couple of people come on Facebook and say, whereas I didn't see it before,
Mm-hmm.
I see it now. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, not me,
Right.
I see it now. And
Right.
like the times when, because I was pretty social in college. And
Mm-hmm.
when by having and I loved it because I love
Yeah.
diversity. Shout out University of South Florida, go Bulls.
Uh,
Um, I went there because of the diversity,
mm,
because there were people from all over different
right.
areas. And I remember sitting with groups of people and hearing how they would get pulled over. Everyone would get asked for their license, but not the white driver. I mean, I've heard those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whereas someone on the other side may say, well, I don't see that as racism. Or maybe they see it as racism in the moment and then just uh,
Right.
ignore it later on.
Yeah. Or it doesn't
Or
stick with them because it's not
right,
like personally.
right, because it's not a
Yeah.
personal experience, or kind of push it away because they don't want to think about it.
Right.
But for the Black community, it's something that we think about, we face every day. It's the
Right.
tense up, the fear that embraces you as a cop pulls up behind
Mm-hmm.
you. The stories that's been told from our earlier generations going to the next on how to
Mm-hmm.
act. And now I think the huge cry, because in our community, what we were told, is if you do X, Y, Z, hopefully
Mm-hmm.
you'll come out of the situation alive.
Right.
And now we're seeing, or we're finding that there is no right or wrong. I mean, of course, be respectful. Let me say that.
Right.
Of course, mind your manners. Of course, I mean, to anyone who's in any position of authority. And I
Right.
say
Right.
because the word of God tells us to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're noticing that it's going to take something else much stronger
Right.
than those
Yeah. That's not a
conversations.
Yeah. That's not a guarantee. Like
Nothing is
formula.
guaranteed. Right. And so I think that we have to combat fear with
Mm-hmm.
faith, prayer, and conversations. And then, because I had another friend of mine who was white come up and say, what do you want me to either say? What do you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the biggest thing that you can do is be yourself.
Right. And
If
that's
you
how
want
I
to,
felt. Mm-hmm.
right, if you want to learn more about what we go through, have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you want to, but don't just have the conversation to walk away and be like, oh, well, I tried. Have the
Right. Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. To promote change. And then on the next conversation, maybe it's, oh, well, my friend doesn't act that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, this person does. Well, then they're a person.
Right.
They are not their color.
That's
You
that
know,
individual. Yeah.
right? It's the humanity. I have crazy, silly friends on both sides of the field, but and that's why I think people, when people say I don't see color,
Mm-hmm.
and then I know on both sides how people can take that as then they don't see me. But I
Right.
take that when someone tells me I don't see color is they try to see the humanity
Right.
first
I'm trying. Yeah. Yeah.
in people.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the soul and the personality within.
Right. But
Yeah.
then with that step up, if someone is saying something about it and it makes you feel uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and you just feel like, oh my God, well, if you have an inner
Mm-hmm.
complex, if you will,
Right.
about it, if
Yeah.
it starts to make your spirit stir,
Mm-hmm.
don't be silent in that case.
Right.
But if you feel perfectly fine and they're talking about the black person in the room, then I would say at that point, then you
Mm-hmm.
just sit with where you are. But if it bothers you,
Yeah.
then say, hey, not all people are that way.
Right.
And if you don't want to engage any further, then remove yourself from the conversation. But just remember the people you've had in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, don't discredit those conversations, those friendships.
Right.
I,
Right.
I don't discredit any of the ones that are so beautiful that I've made at USF and the different cultures I learned about. I swear I'm a better person because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I'm sure. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I didn't go to USF, but like, yeah, I feel like as many, yeah, the more, I just feel like in general, it's like the more people you talk to and expose yourself to, it's just like, and that you listen openly, you're there to learn. And, you, like you said, you don't have to end up agreeing or like taking on all of their beliefs, but like ponder them, maybe ponder it for a little bit and like kind of take, certain things will seep in and like certain things you're like, wow, that's just not me.
absolutely, I think so because that's all that happens. Like words are seeds, they're
Right.
seeds. And believe it or not, the people who are so far in their thought system, um, they had seeds planted on earlier, early in life.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, if I ever was to encounter someone like that, all I can do in that moment
Mm-hmm.
is be who I am. That is the best thing I can do so that maybe in their next area of conflict, maybe they'll think that, oh, well, I met this person. She wasn't that bad because I'm not that bad. Now, if
Right.
because that's who I genuinely am.
Right.
I have a heart and care for people, but, I just always try to let who I am and God's light that's inside me show forth for the next, for the next person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have to say
Yeah.
on the topic. Let me see too if anyone. I know I have the
Oh
comments on.
yeah. Yes,
I
please.
think
Yeah.
I have the comments on my side. You
Uh-oh.
can because it happened yesterday where it didn't work.
Oh
Um,
no. Did we lose him? It's like I can like my phone's plugged in.
oh,
I can go
no,
grab it.
I think we're good. Sherry definitely says. Jill says hello, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and Sherry said yes, healthy conversation because
Right.
healthy conversation that's the starter. That's bigger than any protest.
Mm-hmm.
Too is well, however you feel that you should do,
Right.
but the biggest thing is the conversation.
Right.
Right now we can't even have conversations about our man in office without stirring
Yeah.
up controversy.
Right.
um
Right.
but at the end of the day, I think that however you feel on this subject, just take your own personal stance and don't feel bad about, I mean, for me, don't feel bad about your stance. Don't let anyone tell you
Mm-hmm.
you should do what you shouldn't do. Because if you see this and you feel led to pray,
Right.
pray. It's pushing the movement. If you see this and you feel led to have a peaceful protest,
Mm-hmm.
have a peaceful protest. If you see this and you feel like you want to go bite somebody's head off, please call your friend first, you know,
Right. Yeah.
and get some therapy.
Right.
But when you see this, don't feel as if, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything. Oh
Hmm.
my goodness, I'm a bad person because I don't know how to react or respond. No, you be you. By you letting your
Right.
light shine. I can't say it enough. By you letting your light shine, by you even, I mean, because Amy talked about before,
Hmm.
we like to joke, we like to laugh,
Yeah.
we don't want to seem insensitive, right?
Right.
But if that's your gift to the world is to bring
Hmm.
laughter, if that's your gift to the world to um bring peace, bring laughter, bring joy, do that thing.
Hmm.
Do that thing because we need it.
Right.
We need your gift. This tea time, if the best advice I can say to you, Amy, is keep
Hmm.
going with your wonderful conversations that you
Thank
have
you.
because that is a healthy distraction we need from this.
Hmm.
I don't want to turn on my TV and every time I turn it on, see,
Right.
you know, people being shot, killed, or, that,
Right.
it's heavy,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
that, yeah.
what you bring, your lighthearted
Hmm.
conversation, when you bring up Dan and his wonderful British accent, and when
Oh
you,
my goodness! Wait till you see the new one.
oh gosh, or when you bring up like
Right.
another segment I liked was the chiropractors, Dr. Bob
Oh yeah.
and his
Yeah.
wife. When you bring those conversations in, it's a great healthy distraction.
Hmm.
So don't keep, if you're out there and you feel like I just got to do this, do that, first take a step back.
Right.
I mean, what are you called to do? If you're there to bring light and love, bring light today to the conversation, bring
Right.
light
Right.
to everybody you meet. Horrible we're in this COVID. I used to love to hug people,
Oh yeah.
but now it's like, oh gosh, do they have the virus? Well, I'm just gonna hug you and pray my strength in the Lord
I love
because
it.
I'm a hugger. Don't
Right.
change that. If you're
Right.
open, be open,
Hmm.
and if someone says something to you that makes you feel sad, that makes you feel like you're killing my joy, whatever is killing you, walk away.
Hmm.
If that's not worth your time, it's
Right.
not worth your space, and it's not worth your energy.
Right.
Seriously.
Hmm.
So you keep being you, spread your light, and if anybody comes to destroy that,
Hmm.
just walk away and leave because there are other people in this world
Hmm.
that's waiting for your smile, waiting for your joy,
Right.
waiting for, your beautiful face. And the only thing that person is sent there to do is to make you affect the next person by them not seeing your smile, by
Hmm.
them not seeing, your.
Right. Right.
So that's my advice. Do you have any
Right.
advice for anyone?
I really appreciate you saying all that. That's very sweet. And I guess I appreciate you, having this talk with me on live where it's like, well, hopefully we don't say anything too,
Yeah.
too much. But, it was, it's like a little nerve wracking. But I appreciate that you and really like, Coach Sherry, like even in the class, Coach Sherry threw me off in class the other day when she, was asking how everyone's feeling, and
Mhm.
I'm sitting there quietly, and then she points me, like, singles me out and is like, well, Amy, how are you feeling about the current situation? Like, am I supposed to say? Like, I didn't, because I feel like, as you were saying, like, speak if you feel called to speak, so, or whatever you feel called to do.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times what happens is I feel like people are either too loud or too quiet. That's
Right.
like where this conversation comes into play. Is people are
Mhm.
either too loud and not willing to even listen to anyone else, or they, like you said, like they're uncomfortable. They're so worried about upsetting someone, which is kind of especially my old nature in general, just upsetting anyone. It was better if I stayed quiet. That
Right.
was, so that's one of my own subconscious limiting beliefs, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
that informs my behavior. Like, perfect example to
Right.
tie it all in.
Hmm. I mean, is it because really, when you sit back and think about it, it's like a cycle. and it can be pointed out with the subject of racism. It can be pointed out with the subject of mindset. It's really, but it really is your mindset. Are you
Yeah.
even open to receiving
Right.
change? If you're not, if you're closed, then okay, you need to have some more encounters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not,
Right.
nothing I say is going to change your mind or your opinion.
Right.
So
Right.
that's okay. You stay in your place, and I'm fine with that. And will I say hi to you next time we walk by? Absolutely, because I say hi and smile at everybody. You
I
know,
love
so, but I mean, but I'm not going to force you to
it.
have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation if you're not, because if you're closed minded, then okay. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of
Right.
scenarios that will soften you up later on and later on, because this is not our first act of injustice
Right.
that we've seen, but it's taken all the different ones
Mm-hmm.
to get us to a point to where we're like, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. You
Right.
know, we need to do something about it. Kind of reminds me of the Parkland shooting where we saw
Mm-hmm.
a group of high schoolers, not to get off topic,
Yeah. Please. No. Please
but
bring it up.
a
Yeah.
group of high schoolers stand up and push change. And that was so beautiful
Mm-hmm.
to me because I have to say, man, I hate the act that happened at the school, the shootings. I hate the
Mm-hmm.
act of what happened with George Floyd. But
Mm-hmm.
man, I thank you, God, that something beautiful like the phoenix is being risen up from these ashes. More conversations,
Mm-hmm.
more pushing, more I can't breathe, more activism. I
Right.
mean, I just thank God that something positive is happening because to piggyback off the Parkland situation, those students and kids would not have stepped into a position of into their God-given position of authority
Mm-hmm.
had it not have happened. They would have still remained silent.
Right.
They would have still sat back. But because it did, now these kids are knowing, hey, oh wait, I am a leader. Oh
Mm-hmm.
wait, people do respond to my voice, and that is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
learn that early, that is
Oh yeah. Yeah. High
powerful.
school. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so even out of this situation where you see groups organizing, groups putting things together, like something rises on the inside of you that you're like, oh my gosh, I can be the person that affects change.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, the event happened. I'm just thankful that as phoenixes do, good
Right.
things rise out of the ashes of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me about this and kind of leading it as I asked you.
Yeah. No problem. No problem at all. No problem at all.
Yeah. And so if you don't mind, do you want to try and end on something light to like we do in a virtual
Absolutely.
tea
So we can
time?
kind of we started on light.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
kind of got a
We
little
got
bit
in
of
there.
the middle,
Yeah. And then yeah.
then we'll end on something like yeah. So
Okay.
here we
So
go. May I do another plug, Amy? Is that
yeah,
okay?
do another plug. Yeah.
All right. So on a lighter note, Set for Increase is doing credit education in our S4I family on Thursday nights. We just finished up, and I probably will do some watch parties. We just finished up an amazing conversation yesterday regarding how old is your credit? What's the age of your
I watched it today. I watched
right?
on the replay.
I watch it the replay. Thank you. But I think that like this is a healthy conversation about what we're doing too, because a lot of people are graduating, right? And
Yeah.
it sucks in 2020 that we had to go through, graduations via online.
Yeah, yeah.
However, I will say,
Mm-hmm.
side note, we all didn't have to pay for a graduation ticket. Boom.
I
I mean, we're saving money, right? I'm all
love it.
about saving money.
That's
So
great. You
we
noticed
all
that.
could have watched the commencement like via online and be like,
Right,
yay!
right. I
Send, give
love
me
it.
a cash app, let's deposit some money in your account, but we all, that's a light subject. So what we're doing on Set for Increase's side is we're helping everyone either learn how to build credit. We're helping you understand what credit is. And if you're trying to get over any credit hurdles, we'll throw that in there as well. So that's happening on Thursday evenings at 6:30.
And what could go hand in hand with that
Mm-hmm.
is go see Kiwana while so that she can help you get onto the high tea at sea cruise in February 2021.
Exactly. I can
Which
help you reach that goal. Mm-hmm.
that's right. So if you so make that be one of your goals to come on a specialty, like exclusive themed cruise or group cruise. And it's going to be like English, like we're gonna have special English activities and IT on the cruise ship. If you want more details, because that was a little vague on purpose, uh, then you'll want to join me and Jeff Page of Cruise Planners on next, or I guess this coming Wednesday, really, whatever, next week's Wednesday, on the 10th.
On the 10th.
At 6 p.m. We're gonna do a Zoom call, and we're gonna have a couple of the with like a Royal Caribbean person and someone from like Bahamas Tourism Board. So we've got like a whole group to answer questions and kind of explain the whole deal.
That's
So
going to be amazing.
yeah, so work with Kiwana, have her save your money so you can get to get to the cruise.
Get to the cruise. I mean, and drink nice, wonderful tea. I mean, talk about
That's right.
relaxing.
I know. You have tea, and when it's not tea time, you can put wine in your teacup.
Exactly. We can dance, have a great time. Oh, this is going to be awesome, guys. Especially coming after COVID. I mean, goodness.
Yeah. That's why I thought. Yeah, there's still plenty of time for everyone who wants to keep their distance. So
Mm-hmm.
February 2021, you can
It's
leave your
on.
house.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. See?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much again, Kwan, especially for your time. I know super busy, so I really appreciate it.
Oh
I
my.
hope you get some rest at some point.
Woo, Sunday, baby. Sunday. That's
All
it.
right. Yeah. All right. Everyone send Kwan a good vibe so that she can make it till Sunday.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I'm Amy Mitchell with Houses of Windsor. Was Quanta Thomas. I don't know which way point. Quanta Thomas was set for increase. And this was virtual tea time with Amy. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Friday evening. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.